power to do that. So would you want us to just walk straight in, or would you like to be more community?
Should they actually get some community feedback when they actually pitch a title to you, or should it just be, should they try to do focus testing or things like that? Or?
No, I would say walk right in, because if we're interested in the product and we think there's something there, we'll do the focus testing and we'll do the research on it. Even if you do it, we're going to do it ourselves anyway. So I would say just focus on making a great game.
Yeah,
I would agree. The feedback you have from the feedback you will provide to the publisher, will be questioned, and we double check that. And if you get quotes from forums or whatever, those are not necessarily the most accurate places to get information about what's the real strengths of your game, because the people coming to these forums are very passionate, and it will be the guys that will either very much hate your project or love the project, but it's a very small fraction of the population. So the idea is for us to get an idea of the global population, or try to extrapolate that, and we do that research ourselves.
Well, actually, look, I just wanted to jump back just a little bit, talking about the publisher-developer relationship. I'm kind of curious, how involved are the publishers with the developers internationally? Because I get a little bit of the impression that, especially with the distance over here in Australia, a lot of the time the developers are kind of left to their own devices, and you hear a lot of stories about over in the States how the publishers are constantly there with the developers and influencing every decision. Is that true, or is that kind of how it works? And do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, or?
Okay. I think it's case by case, depending on the project and the publisher, and really the producer. Some developers don't need a lot of handholding, and in that case, we kind of let them go. They own the vision, they're doing well, and if they're tracking, producers will communicate. They should be communicating every day. But in terms of trips might not be needed. In other instances, there might be more involvement on the publisher side, whether it's from a design perspective, whether it's from a tech perspective, or an art perspective. So it's really about the project. I think at Activision and at the venue prior to that, we were pretty involved in a lot of stuff. And I know working with Tom recently, we sent our guys out several times just for a DS project. I think they were out like at least 3 or 4 times to visit towns. So we're pretty involved.
Right. Okay.
On our side at Ubisoft, we are very much hands-on as well. We have a full team of producers, associate producers, and marketing people working on the game from the start of the producer. And we like to visit the developers a lot, especially since we are working with a lot of European developers, so they are very close to us. Within 2 hours, you can go to other places in Europe. So we travel a lot to Spain, UK, France, obviously, because we have a lot of developers in Paris. So basically, we want to be on site because it helps the communication, and we give a lot of feedback as well, especially on the smaller DS titles, because those titles are coming from Ubisoft ideas. We're not pushing a full design of the developers, not to keep our creativity, but we exchange a lot. So a lot of ideas come from the developer, a lot of ideas come from the publisher. But at the end of the day, we need to find a good common ground, to have a group design that will water down everything we're trying. But yes, we love to travel a lot to the developers. And when it's needed, we send developers to stay at, to send our producers to stay at developers. One of the good examples, I think, is there was a White Magic, because the developer was in Moscow, which is where I started pretty far already. And our producer is in Paris, obviously. But we will send the producer, the 2 associate producers there for 2-3 weeks at least, once every 4 months. Go to them.
Right, fair enough. And in that respect, I do apologise for the crappy weather here in Brisbane. It's usually a lot better, really. Do we have any more questions? In the front.
Hi there. Just to reiterate and to be clear in my own mind, what you're saying is the gameplay is central, the technology is not central, the IP, tough, you're going to have it, and the person. So as soon as you get to or I get to a point where I have a sense of gameplay, and let's say I'm the person who's going to drive this vision forward and bring the team together, then that's it. You guys can basically supply the rest.
Again, I think it's a case-by-case basis, but I don't want to say technology is not important. I think what's coming out now is, there's a baseline for technology. You've got to have a certain baseline, and you can't be showing something that looks like it was shipped in 1995. And even if it has the greatest gameplay, unless you're going to be doing a flash-based game or something, because that's kind of how a lot of those games look like. They were, 10 years old in terms of technology. Now, I think again, it depends on if you're coming to us with a pitch for a PS3 and 360 game. Yeah, there's a technological bar we're assuming is going to be there, and that we'll do our due diligence to say, okay, do you have the talent base to build that? We're not going to say, okay, great idea, we're going to give you a whole team to work on this. Now, that generally doesn't work that way. So, again, it depends on the scope and scale. If you're coming to us with a DS game, and I think the DS environment is a great environment for people to be working in Australia or Xbox Live or some of these others, because the team sizes generally we work with are, I would say, 8 to 12 people. It's not massive. It's not the 50 to 100 person team you're going to need to do a true next-gen game, or I guess that's current-gen game. So all those factors come into play.
But it's better for me to have a great idea and some proof of tech, rather than, okay, look, I've got great tech, like some of the movies we've seen lately, fantastic technology, crap movies, fail all the time.
Yeah, we can see, I would say most of us can see through a flashy tech demo these days. It's kind of, they kind of, we've all seen too many of them now, and you go, okay, well, it's a great tech demo, but, we've got 8,000 balls spinning on the screen or something, well, that's beautiful, but, what do you do? So what's the first question we're going to ask is, what do you do? Why is it fun?
Yeah, a great tech demo might, don't be afraid, if you have a great tech demo, please show it to us. It might not fit with the idea that you're pitching specifically, but we might have an IP or a license that we're looking for a developer, and that tech plays right into it. So certainly show us the tech. But at the end of the day, it is about gameplay, and it's about that idea and that unique gaming experience. So if the tech might not be there, or there's questions, we'll figure that out in the prototype. The first milestone, a couple milestones might be focused more on the technology as opposed to the gameplay.
And again, you're saying the same about story. You can bring in story people, you can bring in marketing people, you can bring in tech people. There's the core elements that you need, though.
Yeah, I think especially with, the one thing I wouldn't fall in love with is your story, because it's the easiest thing to fix, and like I said, it's the one thing you see too often that you'll be battling developers based on this story they have, and and you go, look, it just isn't good. I mean, you don't want to break their dream, but often that's what you have to say is, I have access to Hollywood writers who just made the writer of The Dark Knight or something that we have access to. We can bring them in to help your game out. If you're so in love with the story, and that's the other thing, I know with the publishers get a reputation as the big bad guys, but the one thing the other advice I have is, have an open mind. Listen, we've been through it, and we're all trying. Honestly, we all are trying to make good games. We're not trying to put out garbage. It sometimes happens that way, but that's not the intent.
Another question? Yeah.
Yes. As a PC gamer, I'm interested in your views on the perspective that PC gaming is dying. Do you still see the worth in PC versions of titles or PC exclusives?
We hear the PC dying theory every other year. So it's a pretty cyclic industry. So there's still a need for PC games. We are still developing PC games at Ubisoft, in our internal studios, but also with external partners. Then it depends on the game that you're doing. Does it make sense on PC, or does it make more sense on consoles? Because at some point, if you're doing consoles, you may reach a wider audience, but if your gameplay is very much tied to the controls that you have in the keyboard and the mouse, then it translate well